Hello, my sweetie darlings, and welcome to A Very Curious Place. Let's talk about the weather. I have been seeing more and more videos about strange gelatinous globs or little strange gelatinous beads falling from the sky when it rains. So instead of just getting water, what you get is you get these little jelly-like beads. Or in one video, I saw this woman who her car was just covered with this jelly type substance. Now, my first instinct would not be, hey, let me poke at it. Hers, however, was, we are not the same. This other one, the little jelly balls were actually a bright blue color, whereas in the other one, it was a clear jelly substance. Very strange. That's the dog. So it's a very strange instances, and it seems to be getting more and more people talking about, hey, what is this? Do you know what this is? And it's all when it rains or when there's any type of instance of rain or snow or anything like that. So far, all I've heard is it's been rain. Now with snow, what I have heard is that people will get the snow and it will have black flecks in it. So like you can pick up a handful of clean snow that's like on top of just snow, not on dirt, but just on top of snow after it's like snowed for extreme amount of time. So there's like maybe a few inches of snow. You take a small little bit of snow off the top, they melt it, and what's inside are black specks. You know, it's very odd. Now, there's been a lot of talk about cloud seeding. Entertainment purposes only, TikTok. But there's been a lot of talk about cloud seeding. There's been a lot of talk about atmospheric interference, perhaps the best way to put it. There's also been a lot of talk about the chemicals used, dry ice being one of them, to tweak the weather, shall we say. Again, entertainment purposes only, TikTok. And turn it into what they want it to be. Now, we all know that the chemicals in the foods, especially here in the US, I can only testify for the US. I know that I hear people talk about going over to other countries and the food is so much healthier, the food is so much cleaner. I live in the US, the food here is crap. So we know what the chemicals in the food is doing to us. If they are hypothetically, cloud seeding and hypothetically introducing all these chemicals into the clouds, which then rain or snow down onto us, which then get onto us when we're outside. They get into our plants as they grow. They get into our water. You know, where I'm at, we use groundwater, which underground water, but neighboring areas to where I am at, they use surface water, which is like rivers. So this would go directly into the rivers, but then it would also soak into the ground and get into the groundwater. So if we look at what the chemicals are doing to us from the food, what do you think the chemicals, hypothetically, that they would be putting in cloud seeding would be doing to us? What kind of damage could we be looking at for the future? It's an interesting question. It's an interesting little query. So let me ask you this. If you had to choose between chemicals and cloud seeding or AI, which ones do you think is going to take us out first? Hypothetically, of course. I see all this stuff about AI. None of it makes me feel good. I'm sorry. I grew up in a time where I watched things like, iRobot. iRobot, a lot of these other different shows, about like robots, that malfunction and computers that go crazy. What are you doing, Dave? you know. The older ones will get that. So yeah, so I remember watching these movies and thinking, that's bad. You know, danger, Will Robinson, danger. So I honestly, it's like a toss up. The weather, chemicals in the weather, the chemicals in the food, AI. And I think that when you put these all together, I think we're screwed. Yeah, I do. Now, and weather manipulation is potentially worldwide. Don't believe me? Operation Popeye. You don't know what Operation Popeye is? Well, by all means, let me tell you. Don't look at me like that, Beauregard. I'm not crazy. I'm your mother. Okay. It's the dog. It's fine. So anyway, Operation Popeye was a weather manipulation experiment that was held out during the Vietnam War. Okay, this was something that the United States did to try and win the war. It is not something that you would generally hear about. I never heard about it until, recent years. And my dad was in Vietnam. But I will tell you something, if a lot of people that were in Vietnam, they don't talk about what happened in Vietnam. And I wonder if this is why. Because of the stuff that was going on in Vietnam, as well as the horrors of war. You had things like Air America during the Vietnam War. Now you have Operation Popeye. It's so weather manipulation. Weather manipulation. Sorry. Weather manipulation is something that has been coming out more and more, and you've been able, blah, blah, blah. You're able to get more information on what has been going on. Look up patents for things to manipulate the weather, cloud seeding. If you've ever watched any British television, all I have to do is say Jeremy from, what is that man's last name? I just always think of him as Jesser. Anyway, Top Gear, Jeremy from Top Gear. He did a video where he was standing in front of a machine that made clouds. It was in America. And it was showing the machine pumping out clouds. And he was like, and soon these clouds will make it rain. And while he's doing this video, it starts to rain on him. Now, there's been so many instances of proof of cloud seeding. Okay, we already have proof of the crap that's in the foods, and what is allowed in our foods, but is not allowed in, say, like the British foods version. Okay, look at things like Skittles. The difference between the ones that the British can have and the ones that we can have. Okay, you will notice an extremely big difference between the ingredients in the two. Any kind of product that is overseas, if you look at it, compare the ingredients to the ingredients in the US version, you will see a huge difference, and not in a good way for the US at least. So chemicals in cloud seeding, chemicals in food, and now you have the AI on top of this. Do you think that we're headed down a good path? Because I've got to be honest, I don't feel like we're headed down a good path. He has an edge. I'm sorry. So I really just don't feel... I'm the highway. So I really just don't feel that we're headed down a good path. And I don't know what there is to do about that. I don't think there is anything to do about that. I think we're just... I don't know what there is to do about that, if there is anything. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on these three subjects. Leave it in the comments. Yeah, I see lamb chop. Leave it in the comments and let me know what you think about everything. Like the video, share, follow. I have to throw lamb chop. So take care. Much love.